Today is a very sad day, guys. I lost to Orcust. Hey guys, it's Tom Box. Thanks for tuning into MST.TV. Now, why learn the meta when someone else can learn it for you? That's like how I passed high school anyway. Okay, to give you guys a bit of a TLDR of the meta, we just have to consider two things. The cards available in play and the top decks moving forward. Cards available in play, thanks to the release of the Megatons, of course, it's became a much more control-centric format, thanks to Nibiru and Dark Ruler no More and Dimension Shifter. All three are seeing play, and they really control the matchup by smashing up any board that gets established by combo. It is what it is. You need to play back row now, or you need to consider your opponent having Nibiru and not overextending, and if you don't extend as a combo board, you usually end with something rather weak. In terms of the top decks moving forward, obviously Sky Striker, being a deck that does not require a combo, is there. Yes! Love seeing those first place Sky Striker deck profiles. Now if someone publishes something like that, just be nice, because we are celebrating someone's achievement, of course, and regardless of whatever deck you're playing, if you get first place, it's an accomplishment regardless, because you wouldn't want Yugi tubers to be like, oh, what deck are you playing? Sky Striker? Ooh. No, you guys don't want us to have that kind of gag reflex, and besides, it is an accomplishment nonetheless, so if it gets published, well, try not to complain, guys. Okay, anyways, moving forward, we have Orcust being a combo deck that everyone's playing. There's Luna Light Orcust, Cyber Dragon Orcust, Pure Orcust, Sky Striker Orcust. Every single combo deck seems to have jumped onto the Orcust train, so Orcust is everywhere. It's just something that happens. And then there is Altergeist is another control deck that people are playing. There's Subterra is another control deck people are playing because they don't require the combo. Nibiru is not that threatening of a factor. But if in terms of combo deck, there's also Dragon Link, Thunder Dragons, and I think that's mainly it for combo decks. I guess Salamangreat to some degree is a combo deck, but it's more like a control deck at the end because it plays with back row and counter traps. But those are the meta. That's how we hash out together. So it's more of a control-based meta right now. Okay, strategy number one to adapt to the meta. Baiting that you have Nibiru. This is some of the most fun baiting I have done in some time. Actually, I'm not the only person that has done this. A few of my friends have also attempted it. All they did was count out loud. They counted 1, 2, 3. How many summons was that? 4. So one more summon? Okay. And then you're just like holding it. You're just always shuffling one card in your hand. You just bait people to make you think you have Nibiru. If you actually have Nibiru while you did that, that's even better, because the second time you do it, it will strike even more fear into your opponent. So if they don't believe you the first time, then they'll regret not believing you, and then when you do it to them the second time, oh my god, there's just so much pressure because now they don't know what to do. So baiting Nibiru is one way to get your opponent to actually end on a much weaker board and make them misplay based on your psychological bluffing. Man, that kind of psychological torment is very scary, because I actually did it to a Salamangreat player, and he actually did not continue to summon, and I'm like, oh my god, he did not extra like reincarnate Link his Sunlight Wolf, and therefore he could not fetch that Salamangreat Roar in his graveyard. Oh my god, that was like pretty brutal, okay guys? So definitely try it out, because that is one way of bluffing that is actually very smart. So that's strategy number one, baiting Nibiru. Okay, strat number two, we're going to look into playing Dragdown into the Grave over Call by the Grave, especially when you're going first playing combo. Why? Like, how does it compare between the two? Like Phil said, it kind of does the same thing, except that you get to hit more stuff. I know you're taking the risk that your opponent might draw into another copy, but that is less likely, especially if they put in 3 copies. They already had 1, and now you're forcing them to draw into the second one, and a lot of people don't really draw into doubles anyway, so that's something for you guys to keep in mind in terms of like mathematical systems here. But in terms of what you can rip out Phantasmes, you can take out Impermanences, you can take out Ash Blossoms, although most people can use Ash Blossom to negate this card. You can take out Ogres, any of the problematic cards that you see in your opponent's hand, and the deck that they're playing, you get to preemptively counter it with whatever board that you're going to set up, and that's actually quite crucial. And as a combo-centric deck, you don't mind your opponent seeing your hand because you're going to be playing with most of the pieces anyway, and if there's anything that you can set that's your tech, you can just set them up preemptively, and then when you give your opponent the discard choice from your hand, it's something that's going to act as an extender that's going to facilitate your combo anyway, so it just feels bad for them altogether. Now, Phil can definitely attest to this in his top 8 run at regionals, where he ripped out 3 people's Nibirus, and Call by the Grave can't stop Nibiru, so he managed to stop Nibiru from smashing his board. So that's something that you guys playing combo can definitely give it a try and stop your opponent. And if you like see like a Sky Striker player, you could perhaps rip a card out of their hand as well, or like rip out like one of their floodgates that you think would be become very problematic in the long run. So yeah, there's a lot of options in terms of versatility of ripping your opponent's hand apart. So yeah, give Dragdown a try. Okay, strat number 3, we're looking at Demise of the Land paired with Mystic Mine. I love this strategy so much because it is one of the smartest things out there that you can definitely try out, because you can use it to buy some time or sometimes win full games because your opponent does not have Twin Twisters, they don't have Cosmic Cyclones to clear this particular card off. And if they have no form of removal, they'll need to clear off their own monsters. If they don't even have that, the game is basically in the bag. Even though you are a combo deck or a control deck, Sky Striker play this deck, Orcus play this deck, Altergeist can also play this deck. Basically everyone can play this particular card, and I think it's a very smart strategy. It is part of the meta now, so we have to adapt to it. And I would say to adapt to it, you guys should play it yourself, because if your opponent tries to like kill you, you set one card and they go into like a Nightmare Phoenix. They special summon that Phoenix, they target your Demise of the Land, you chain your Demise of the Land, you put out your your Mystic Mine, and then your opponent is now stuck and you buy yourself a full turn at the very least, because they can't attack you. They need to find some way to clear off that Mystic Mine, and if they can't clear that Nightmare Phoenix, every single time that Phoenix is there, you get to keep on drawing cards and setting up your hand for the ultimate push. And buying 3 or 4 turns, that's usually more than enough to take care of any opponent. And that's something that a lot of Orcus players are playing, Altergeist players are playing, Sky Striker players are playing, everyone's playing this card. So it's to be expected that people should be maining some sort of out against it, so it should be like more of a tempo control more than just a full-on win condition. But definitely give it a try if you play field spells and if you can clear it out yourself. If you can't clear it out yourself, don't play the card, because it will be a big detriment to your deck. Okay, strat number 4, play trap cards, guys. This should be very obvious, but a lot of people have already moved towards that trend. Looking at Thunder Dragons, they play Paleozoic Dynamiscus because they get that banish effect, which is very effective against clearing off Mystic Mines and other problematic cards that people might summon, especially when you want to disrupt someone. You want to be able to get rid of their most important cards, and banishing their cards is very effective. Cyber Dragon Orcus, on the other hand, they have Cybernetic Overflow that they kind of search out because it's one of the most powerful cards, and they get to get multiple card destructions, non-targeting, and disrupting the board from being established. Very powerful stuff there as well. Even for my Layer Rocket control, for a Dragon Link deck, try using Guard Dragon Cataclysm to pop 2 cards. You can use it to tribute off your Hieratic Seal, and that's going to summon out another monster anyway, so you get to do the bounce and double pop, and that is a lot of disruption just coming from 2 cards, and that can usually kind of secure you a full turn to play the next turn anyway. So everyone should be playing some form of traps, but not just against like combo players, even against control players. You can use cards like Epidemic Eradicator Virus to stop the Sky Striker. Literally, that card is a blowout against Sky Striker. You call spells and that's it. And if they side it in like cards like Super Poly, it blows up with it. And not a lot of people preemptively use Super Poly when they're just waiting, like standby. Anything? Do you have anything on your standby? And if they don't, if they go say standby main, you'll be like, hold on standby phase, I activate Epidemic, and they get rid of your own dark monster, and then they can't use Super Poly because you don't have enough targets for you anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you definitely can try. Try to use like Heavy Storm Dusters, try to use Torrential Tribute. There's tons of things that you can use. Even counter traps are very effective against these decks. If you have Solemn, good, because there's 3 Solemns right now. Even Solemn Strike versus like combo decks, they have to commit a lot of monsters into making those big boss monsters, and if you're able to use Solemn Strike just to counter them entirely, why wouldn't you? It's like 1 card for 4. It's a really easy trade, and since the games aren't going as fast because it's a control format, this is one of those ways that you can use. My last suggestion for you guys to adapt to the meta would be to decide to go second. You don't always have to go first. Maybe you should try to break a board instead and throw your opponent off by choosing to go second rather than to go first. It is very confusing. Like Yu-Gi-Oh's old trend, of course, was to, oh, I won the die roll, I went first, I set up my board, my opponent can't break my board, the game is over. That was the case, but nowadays there's a lot more going second decks, and if you choose to go second, you might throw your opponent off, especially if you chose to go first the first game. It is just something for you to consider because they might misside, and missiding is just as bad as putting a bunch of bricks into your deck. So that is something for you guys to consider and to throw your opponent off. It is part of the strategies that people execute now, so that's something that you guys can try out yourself. Just make sure you side in the correct cards and side out the correct cards. And yeah, that's all I've really got for this video, guys, for you guys to adapt to the current meta, because being a control format, and it's very difficult to play combo decks because of such powerful cards like Nibiru, things you have to readapt, and these are some of the strategies that you can definitely try to readapt into the current metagame. So if you guys enjoyed this video and perhaps this gave you a bit of insight to try different things, hit me up with a thumbs up. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, such as the Exodia live duel versus Orcust, hit that subscribe button, ding the notification bell to see when that one comes up. It is going to be a very difficult one for me to commentate. Life points basically don't really matter for the Exodia player, so we'll see how that one goes. So yeah, make sure you stay tuned for that one, and I'll see you guys in the comment section if you guys have any other strategies to suggest, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one.